All right, Cowboys fans, massive day of Cowboys news as we react to week 7 and start to look forward to Cowboys and Broncos. Cowboys are getting some pretty hefty reinforcements here, okay? Is one of them a potential exit strategy for Trayvon Diggs and all the other relevant talking points out there in Cowboys land? Take it away, Jimmy.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
All right, welcome into the show. I'm Gavin Dawson from 105.3 The Fan. With me, as always, my favorite football Neanderthal, Newbear Lesniewski. Buddy, how the heck are you?
Well, it's basketball season. I had friends with their sons on recruiting visits, and they still couldn't get Texas. So I'm officially in Stoops' last stand protest mode.
Well, I'm officially the happiest I've been in a while because I'm coming up on 50, and I just went in for a full body scan from our friends at ViaScan in Las Colinas. How about, wow, brought to you by ViaScan in football and with your health, Newbear. A clean scan and pass can give everybody peace of mind. Early detection is the key. Discover any possible health problems before they become serious ones with a wellness body scan. Let ViaScan do a 3D scan of your entire body. You'll feel amazing. 123bodyscan.com. Okay, let's start with the big picture takeaways of the win, bro. 44-22 over the Commanders. McLaurin and Samuel out. How much credit do you give the Cowboys then for stopping the run, slowing down Daniels, and absolutely crushing them with their best defensive performance of the year?
You know, one of the reasons I'm so mad as a Kentucky alum fan is the lack of identity, where they're going backward and you don't know what the way forward looks like. And this whole season with the Cowboys, you were able to hang your hat on what we were going to score, and it was a matter of time, hopefully, until you could get that replacement level defense and something would change and or click with what Eberflus had the boys doing. And we've been talking for how long about when Eberflus's defenses are good, and sometimes even when the team isn't, the defense is still able to take the ball away and turn those into, right, with all eyes on the ball, the zone that he wants to play means what? You're going to get your hands on it, and you're going to get it going the other way. You're going to put points on the board for your offense. Well, they don't need that. They just need the ball back. They need to go run away from teams. They took it. They scored. They got it back. They scored. 3 and out. They scored. They scored every way you possibly could. And they got that distance maker where you change the game flow, the game script, where, even if McLaurin and those guys were in the game, they still would have had to play a certain kind of way. When you can hang your hat on stuff and start dictating terms, and it was CD back and GP and him being the best receiver duo in the league, Javonte Williams being so damn violent, Fergie showing up and Dak's throwback, and come on now, the script's writing itself.
The defense playing better was great. Stopping the run was amazing. It's the first time they've been able to do that really all year. I don't even count the Eagles game because Saquon Barkley was going off until they went into kill the game mode. But as impressive as it was on the defensive side, the fact that CeeDee Lamb came back and absolutely had a monster game, and George Pickens was able to produce a big time as well. I mean, if you count the pass interference, he was over 100 yards as well. So that was one of my big keys going into this game. Can Pickens plus Lamb present offensive dynamics that are totally unguardable? And I think it is. Now it's just a matter of how many points per game do they need to average for the rest of the season for you to justify bringing both of those guys onto the salary cap long term instead of spending some money on defense. We were talking about that today. They've averaged 36 points per game over the month. Can they do that? Do you think they could average 36 over the final 10?
Yeah, and as much as what they're going to do, because we've talked about, was there going to be a week where they threw up a 9 or a 13 or an ugly number offensively? If they're keeping the other teams in the 20s, you now believe you should win every game. So even if it isn't 36 and it's only 28, if they're at 22, 24, 27, I mean, you're still letting the other teams getting up and down the field scoring 3, 4, 5 times. You're coming away with the dub. And that's the thing that's so different about, like, people talk about how momentum is an immeasurable stat and how that's like, it's a feeling thing. And you can't put data around that. You can't tell me that momentum isn't real and that players don't feel that. And look, a big part of that and a big bunch of this credit has to go. I mean, I opened up talking about zone. I opened up talking about what Eberflus wants to do. Well, they play man, 47.5% of the snaps, and they blitzed, and they figured out a way with the guys who were up and the traits that they have and the things that they do, the things they do well, and then also showing the other team something else that makes you wonder, what part of the plan 7 is and what this defense might look like without him.
Yeah, he changed up his coverage quite a bit. I mean, he went to man. I think it ended up being 47% of the time, 49% of the time. Press rate weeks 1 through 6, 52.8. Press rate in week 7, 76.2. Cowboys only had 18 instances of a cornerback using press jam in weeks 1 through 6, but there were 11 alone in week 17. You know what's funny about this? Can you see this, by the way, right now, New Bear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good, because it looks funny on my end.
It's a little bit small. You could probably hit the zoom in a little bit, but I mean, it's there and you can read it. Yeah.
Okay, so the other interesting thing about this is Shoddy talked about his presser today about how they wanted to go more man coverage against Jaden Daniels because for whatever reason in Jaden's, I don't know, 20 games played so far, I guess maybe 23 or 24 if you count the playoffs, he is a 50% passer against man and 70% against zone. So in the game that Trayvon Diggs could not play due to a concussion, they end up playing man 50% of the time, and it paid off big time. But that gives me more confidence in this coaching staff. One of the thoughts about Eberflus for the first 6 weeks was this guy's just coaching his scheme. He's not coaching it around the players. But, you know, I think, this dynamic right here shows otherwise. They're just waiting, for the right opportunity against the right quarterback. In week 1 against Jalen Hurts, zone 100% of the time was a great answer, and it was significantly different yesterday, and I love how they were ready for it. I wonder if that gives them confidence to maybe roll it out even more, to try to allow Diggs and Bland to be just a little bit more comfortable if, in fact, they don't end up trading Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, if you show zone and you show off and you stay zone and you stay off, if you really don't change the picture post-snap, one of the challenges of the running quarterback is they're going to have their guy, the primary read in against man, right? There's the primary read, and then there's their best guy, and no matter who you throw at him, we're throwing it to him. The George Pickens always bleep an open conversation. And then when you add to that the legs and the ability to say, I think touchdown Terry or I think Debo or whoever it is, Luke McCaffrey go through your depth chart is going to win when you're then not having those top two guys. There's that little heartbeat of, is Luke going to win against their best when it's not my 3 versus their 3 and we know he's better, when it's our 3 versus their 1 or our 2 we're in Bland. And then at the same time, they always know that they have those legs, they can escape. And if they ride something a little too long, they can use their athletic ability to still win and stay ahead of the chains. What's really interesting is the same way that you talk about like GP moving to Z because CD is out and everyone thinking he's an X, he's going to be out left, he's going to be in that Marvin Harrison role. That's what he does. But maybe that's also all he can do because that's all anybody saw in the 4-1-2. So when you think about that, flipping it to the other side, this is the first week we've seen major data different from what Eberflus has put out there as the Dallas Cowboys DC. How do teams anticipate? How do they adjust in-game game flow when they have success or don't?
Yeah, those are all great points, and I just hope as we get ready for Denver here, which does not have a high-octane offense. I mean, it's kind of one-dimensional. I hope they can build on this, and this is a sign that Eberflus is starting to learn his guys. And I wonder what their plans are for Trayvon Diggs. So let's use that to segue into the next topic here on How About Wow. The Overshown news came first today, and it was DeMarvion himself who posted T-minus 21 on his Twitter account. That's 21 days as his window to return is going to be opened up on Wednesday. He'll be practicing. And then we moments later found out Savon Revel, the rookie, is going to have his window open as well. He said he was the happiest he had been since he got to Dallas in the locker room. And then we found out Cooper Beebe's going to have his window open as well. So starting center, rookie corner, and lots of help coming here for this Cowboys team. Obviously, Overshown is the guy that's got the biggest expectations and the biggest need to get to work. Is hopefully he can create some big plays and cut off some big plays with his ability to run and pursuit and hit and stuff like that. But how does this relate to Trayvon Diggs is where I wanted to take this with you. Unless Trayvon plays well the rest of the way, this will for sure be his last season because the team doesn't like him and they don't trust him, and he's way overpaid. But more immediately, I think if they can get Revel on the field here in these next couple of weeks, Denver and Arizona, and he plays well enough, maybe that gives them the little extra boost of confidence going into the trade deadline to ultimately decide to move Diggs.
What do you think about, based on what Eberflus showed, when you look at the rest of their schedule, right? Every week, just about, that they go into, there's a potential showdown, show out. I mean, really state your case to be here at all type of matchup where you go through Cortland Sutton, you go through Marvin Harrison Jr., A.J. Brown, Rashee Rice, Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's going to be matched up against an Amon-Ra St. Brown or even a J-Mo just because of the speed and the size. But most weeks in and out, there's a big, rangy guy, Quentin Johnston, right? Come back around, McLaurin, probably Debo, right? Based on the physicality. And then whatever the Giants, do or don't do, even if they don't add anybody, some of the dudes they picking up off the street are height, weight, size, speed, matrix type dudes. Little Jordan Humphrey, right? So every week for the rest of the season, just about, there's an opportunity for Diggs to strap in, play hard, and show out because, like you just said, he is likely auditioning for his next team.
Yeah, and how do you play that the best if you're the Cowboys right now? Because while he might not be ideal, and you stand to recoup $10 million in cap space if you could trade him and just take his per game salary prorated off the books. There's benefit there, but this team needs corners, and right now you would be depending on Kyer Elam, Deron Bland, Reddy Stewart, Kalen Carson, and Savone Revel, a rookie, to sort of hold the fort down. Maybe Josh Butler's going to come back as well. There's no doubt that Diggs adds to that. And while he's no longer worth the $20 million that his salary is has him slotted at APY, he's still around average. And average corners are worth their weight in gold still in the NFL. This team needs depth. But I say all that to say this. Jerry Jones was asked if he knew what happened to Trayvon Diggs in the accident that resulted in the concussion. He said Diggs told him a story of what happened, but a lot of times you're not the best viewer of what happened to you. When Jerry's talking like this and not supporting his guys, he wants you gone. And we saw, didn't we, before the season started, how personal feelings can prompt Jerry Jones to do things that might not be in the best interest of the team.
I not just to make it about Kentucky, but it's one of the more heartbreaking ones. Remember when John Wall re-tore up his Achilles? He was going through the knee stuff, and then he literally fell and tore his Achilles. And I mean, stuff happens, right? I mean, people fall down and go boom in real life. NFL players too. And the thing that's so damning about this is that it all felt kind of muddy and the water didn't get any clearer once anyone started talking about it, right?
No.
And the big thing here is what I go back to with I almost called him Minka because I want Minka Fitzpatrick to get traded to a winner so bad after being sent to what is now becoming, purgatory at the beach down Miami way. But
hell, I'll take it.
Micah Parsons, remember Dak? I said all summer, where's Dak in all this? Where's the captain? Where's the guy? The guy not saying a thing. And then when he did come to the podium, he did not take the pro Micah Parsons stance. He said, I went through this. CD went through it. We had to battle. You saw how it affected CD, particularly last year. And one of the reasons everyone was talking about why he was so willing and able to lead GP is because of how far he was removed from the engagement farming. And, as you go through the P's and Q's of unpacking what did or did not happen with 7, Dak had a very similar stance. And I feel like when you see Pickens come out and dance, and Dak goes to the and then dance all over you during the game, and then Dak goes to the podium post game when everyone says, "Hey man, what'd you say? What'd you really say in the huddle to get this team fired up?" And he basically said, "I didn't need to say anything because I saw how loose everyone was because of the energy they were feeding off because of how GP and CD coming back and all the momentum-based conversations we're having about dude for dude, position for position, scheme for scheme." And they go out and dominate, back everything up. Diggs better step in front of this team and step in front of this locker room and say, my bad, I'm here to win, I'm here to do my job. He better like toe the line, get in line, and even not just show up and put your head down and play, but like buddy up to some of these guys, because there's a way that this season plays out where they don't trade him and he's just kind of stuck. And then you start talking about getting cut, right? Because if you're somebody, remember what happened with Keyshawn Johnson. There is precedent in this league for stars bigger than Trevon Diggs who have done way more things, who have been let go in lieu of getting in the way of his potential Super Bowl run.
Yeah, and I know they're going to try to put the vibes back and everything, and the coaches and the players are going to do anything in their power to try to create some harmony and get him on the same page with you. But I think enough has happened now that ship has sailed. I don't think Trayvon is coming around and being buddy-buddy. I think, sometimes relationships just get to a point where nobody's going to extend the olive branch, or it would feel awkward to try to make something happen, and a change of scenery is desperately what he needs. And speaking of that, I don't know if you saw this, but he did. This is from Attack on Cowboys. Salute to you. Trayvon Diggs listed his Frisco home on the market for $4.4 million back in June. He lowered his asking price in August. And the speculation is that, he knows this is his final season and he just wants to get that thing on the market, sooner rather than later. But $4 million, pretty difficult house to sell. But if anybody was doubting that this thing is going to end at the end of this season, I think that's usually pretty good writing on the wall.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this is it's like if it was just one thing, if it was just that, but then you add this to the $500K, to the Netflix special, to the concussion, there is just a lot of that. And remember when Tom Brady listed his house and that was hullabaloo, and then you can spin that into no, he's just buying a bigger house. Tom Brady needs more, or you can find a way to distract from the distraction. But this thing, we talk about branches on trees for topics as we go 29-59 every time we hop in here. I mean, his thing just keeps growing branches. I mean, there just keeps becoming new little what is it? Long walk, short pier, right? I mean, he just keeps stepping out to the ledge and jumping into. I said muddy waters earlier, and it just keeps getting weirder with this guy.
It does. Yeah. All right, let's talk some Dak Prescott here on How About Wow. Some pretty golden stats in his last 4 games, 14 touchdowns, no turnovers, 7th player to accomplish that feat in a 4-game span. 4 have gone on to win MVP. You got Brady, Mahomes, Lamar, and Aaron Rodgers. That's incredible. His MVP odds, Dak Prescott's MVP odds remain at plus 3,000 still, which I think makes it one of the better bets. A little bit more historical context from Dan Rogers. For the first time in their 66 years, the Cowboys have gone 4 straight games without turning the ball over. I just don't think you can overlook or overstate how amazing it is. The pressure, like, I don't know if any of his offensive linemen really had a good game. They were below average to average, and the pressure that he's under, the tight windows, the accuracy, the anticipation, the drop in the bucket to George Pickens on the sideline, like the things that he is doing are just so much different than really any other quarterback. I don't know what the comp is in today's NFL. I think I would take Mahomes against the field probably to win the MVP. It looks like that Chiefs offense is firing back up and they'll probably go win 11, 12 games or something like that. He's a big favorite at plus 140, Josh Allen at 350, Mayfield and May at plus 600. That's weird to me. And Stafford 1,100, Goff 2,500. The only reason to keep Dak Prescott out with lower odds like this that he's got, I think it's just a general anti-Dak bias. And hey, it's been 9 years. People probably think, well, this is who he is. He's coming off another injury. He's 32. He's not going to get any better. Well, he is, and then a belief that the Cowboys just aren't going to win enough games to legitimately put him in the MVP conversation. But nobody's running towards 14, 15 wins. Like 12 or 13 might be the most that any one team has in the NFL. So maybe if the Cowboys win 11 and Dak Prescott continues, you continue on the pace you've been on the last 4 games, then forget about it. That'd be hard to turn him down. He's going to throw for 5,000 yards with 40 touchdowns and 5 picks. Maybe he gets it as a wild card team and is a major outlier considering everything. And because he's so well liked, I wouldn't be surprised if you get sort of some votes from that and like a
career achievement.
yeah, like a resume based one, and instead of just, hey, you were the best player on the best team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about career achievement awards without bringing up Myles Garrett needing to get in a boat and row down the Ohio and bring TJ Watt a DPOY back. But, all kidding aside, that stuff matters. I mean, he won that award because the Browns finally didn't suck. Joe Burrow wasn't MVP last year because the Bengals were trash on defense. The Bengals corollary or parallel universe, bizarro as it may seem, is basically exactly where Dak Prescott finds himself right now. I mean, MV Prescott, D4K, is a real thing right now. He's playing as well, if not better, than any quarterback in the league. The numbers back it up. And the thing that you always talked about all summer long, when I was starting to get really excited about the Chris Carter, Randy Moss thing we were about to see with CD and GP, is the off-target throws and the turnover-worthy plays. And the key word in those not being on the page, anywhere you look at it, and any chart you look at, he's all the way by himself, whatever the accesses are, and he's up in the top right corner, the bottom right corner, whatever it is, it's because of anticipation. And, I said on time, on target, right? On purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. And if you're going to talk about momentum at all, one of the things that allows him to be where he is, where, quite frankly, if they are a 10, 11, 12 win team and anyone else wins MVP, then it's rigged and it's a joke. And it's Dak hate, it's Cowboys hate, it's all the things, because the numbers are going to be there to back it up. And he's doing it without the support of complimentary football until this week. And you're going to have people say, well, yeah, that's why his numbers are so high, because the defense is so bad. They have to go score. They're throwing the ball late. Not necessarily the case, because when the Chicago thing happened, they basically shut it down and said, we're going to punt till next week. We're going to take this loss on the chin. We'll see it when we see it. We'll be ready when we're there. And the pressure that's on him every drive to do what he has done, because the defense hasn't been able to do a damn thing, really just puts a magnifying glass on all of this, to the tune that Cowboys stan, but also Cowboys hater, they're so tuned into this thing that when they have a 3 and out after the defense finally gets one, you start seeing memes with brains and butts, because people are so jealous, but also spoiled, depending on what side of the aisle you're standing on, about how great he's played to date.
Yeah. And I'm going to make sure that at least on this show, we appreciate every bit of this, because when Dak couldn't get it done earlier in his career, I mean, even last season when he started 3-5 and was just stuck in quicksand, I think in those 8 games, he had 11 touchdowns and maybe 8 or 9 interceptions. It wasn't good. And I was drawing it to, hey, Tyron Smith is out. The great protection is over. You don't have Zeke back there in his prime anymore. And this is real life for Dak Prescott, and he's failing. I think something that might be overlooked is when his leg did break, he was forced to go approach quarterback from a pure pocket perspective. And Mike McCarthy did not want him running. He was all about preservation, which last year proved, even when you're trying to preserve your quarterback, is just too violent of a sport. It's really, kind of a fruitless process. But what happened there was Dak had the moment where he's like, now I'm going to go back and learn to play the sport at the highest level, but like a high school quarterback that can't run and is planning to go D1. Can you process everything? Can you figure out how to read the defenses so good that it buys you the extra half second? Can you learn to slide in the pocket? And can you learn to accept that pressure is there, like Joe Burrow, and still throw that thing on a line, accepting that the hit is going to happen? And I think the answer to all those questions is yes. Like, it sucks that the leg injury happened, but I mean, buy it or sell it. It was the best thing that could happen for his long-term development.
Well, and I'll tell you, it goes all the way back to Mississippi State. When you look at him going, I mean, it's very similar to Josh Allen. They talk about how guys who aren't accurate in college Saturday guys don't become accurate on Sunday if they're not on Saturday. And in college, I think he went like 58, 61, 66. I mean, he was like 2 out of 3 as a senior. And when you unpack the rushing stats, he ran his way into the Heisman Trophy conversation. He ran Mississippi State to the #1 ranking. Pretty sure he was sacked like 9 times in a game against Bama. But you also saw him as a senior. Remember in college, the sack yardage counts against the quarterback's running stats versus on Sunday it counts against the total team passing stats. He only had 160 rushes after over 200 as a junior. He was down into 160 counting sacks as a senior. I mean, he was learning how to play. That's why he went back to school. That's why Dan Mullen changed some of the offense. And coming into that rookie year where so little was expected of him relative to, Tony Romo and his back being okay, one of the big reasons that he was able to step into that is he was mentally, physically, emotionally preparing to do that even as a college kid. And so to see him get to this place now 10 years on where he's had to rebuild his body, the team's been rebuilt around him and reformed and reshaped, systems, players, lack of defensive or complementary football support. I mean, there's a reason that you win Walter Payton Man of the Year because of what you do in the community. There's a reason that you're all pro because of what you do on the field. This right now is the beginning, hopefully, of the intersection of who he is as a person and who he is as a player, reaching like the very, very end of the athletic peak, but where there's still enough left in the 23andMe for the mind to make up for the difference.
Yeah, that, and just the grit to stick with it. Like, he never accepted what people said he couldn't do, whether it was throwing with anticipation or being more accurate, things that people believed for a long time. And he geared himself really with an ultimate growth mindset, and it's inspiring no matter what industry you are in. Just to remain like locked in on the process. And I almost cringe when I say that word because that was one of Jason Garrett's favorites, like the process. But the process really paid off, and it's amazing what human beings are capable of doing when they set their mind to it and just put in the work day in and day out. Okay, here's a list of quarterbacks who are in the top 5 in completion percentage, yards, and touchdowns. Have you seen this list?
One
Dak
guy?
Prescott.
Is it one guy?
Dak Prescott.
That's the list.
Completion percentage, yards, and touchdowns. Colin Cowherd had a rant today about him being 9th in MVP odds and saying that's insane. That's there. He, in his last 4 games, nearly perfect. 264 and 3, 261 and 3, 237 and 4, 319 and 3 touchdowns. Dak Prescott absolutely killing it. Okay, can we have a collective sigh of relief and maybe crack a couple of cold beers for the health of one Kenneth Clark? Unbelievable. It was his elbow. Said after the game he'd be okay. Shoddy said he's going to be okay. He's tough as nails. He was down huddled, almost like in an all-fours fetal position. And I thought he was like holding his knee like, oh, crap, my season just ended. But I think he was almost like cradling his elbow, now that I look back on it. And that's the ultimate dodge bullet, I think, of the season so far, even more than Tyler Guyton's ACL scare there in training camp. You don't have a path forward, I think, without Kenny Clark.
You ever done that? You ever hyperextend an elbow? The funny bone feeling, but like on HGH. I mean, like when you do some of those things, because your bones touch, right? So it bends the wrong way. Hyperextend a knee, hyperextend an elbow is one of the freakiest things you can do, because like you tear an ACL, you hear a pop, it hurts, and then it's like, okay, scalpel. But like when you do the thing where your bones touch and for a minute you're not sure what it means to be human, I absolutely went to the knee first as well, especially when you see a big man like that just writhing like a baby, like you said, fetal position. And I was just like, oh no. But I mean, hey man, JJ Watt they make all kinds of gear for this thing. I mean, they can put something on that, keep it in place, keep it supported, and then it becomes something that you sell on your starting lineup of your action figure.
Yeah, dude, it's really just incredible the good luck you have to have and how it can all end. Like, I felt the season hanging in the balance, and I have not hyperextended my elbow, but I have hyperextended my knee.
Yeah.
And that was horrible. I thought I had done major damage, and it hurt like a son of a gun for a couple of weeks and probably was tender for 2 or 3 months. So I will not be surprised if that's something he's got to deal with and maybe have one of those Tyron Smith knee braces on his elbow.
You know what I was thinking about for a second, though, when it happened was like, is this where one of the ones turns into Jeffrey Simmons in the conversation we've been having for a couple? I mean, it literally would have been that if they would have decided to be in toward the trade deadline and Kenny Clark would have gone down, you'd be talking about one of those Micah ones going down to Tennessee.
Yeah. Des Bryant was talking to the game last night and said, one player at the trade deadline, let's go get 2 or 3. And I think that is dead balls on exactly what Jerry Jones needs to be hearing right now. Okay, one other quick note. Mingo is going to be signed onto the active roster. He said he feels great. He's excited, been waiting. First time he got a chance to play with Dak. He was traded last year, and Dak was hurt. Then he missed 7 games this year, so he's happy to get out there with Dak Prescott. Hopefully, Dak Prescott in this offense unlocks something in Jonathan Mingo that has not been apparent so far in his career. I think his catch rate is 40% or so, and I might be generous on that, but he can go get the deep ball, but he is so physical in the run game that if you can just get something from him in the pass game, I think it's going to make it hell on defense. It's just a little bit more difficult to contain this team.
Yeah, I mean, how many more weapons do they need, right? Now you talk about being greedy or jealous or stands or haters or anything in between. Mingo's got the way that this is going to slot, right, is Flournoy or even Tolbert or, I mean, pretty much anyone after CD, GP, and Fergie, even Jaden Blue and what his role shapes up to be like over the course of the next, 13 more weeks. And it's not going to be, it might not even be 13 catches. It might not even be 13 plays that make you say, ooh, but those 1, 2, 3, when you are so worried about CD and GP, and here goes this other dude that we know is built unlike most other dudes, like people forget that there was a reason he was drafted where he was drafted, and there's a reason he's going to keep getting chances, because when you look like that, you run like that. And remember, he had flashes in the preseason where we were real excited about what this might become in this system.
Good stuff, Newbear. Love talking Cowboys with you. Thanks again to our friends at ViaScan in Las Colinas. Go to 123bodyscan.com to book your appointment now. Heart disease and cancer, #1 killer of men. And as leaders of our family, we need to make sure we're here for a long time, and early detection is so massive. We're back soon with more Cowboys content. Till then, how about wow?